What if the most effective pest killer out there wasn't found at your local garden center, but was actually sitting right now in your kitchen spice cabinet? With just one scoop and a single spray, pests like aphids, mealybugs, whiteflies, and ants are killed on contact in seconds. However, there is a major catch. About 9 out of 10 gardeners who try this method end up completely burning their plants because they get one crucial detail wrong. Stick with me for the next few minutes because I am going to give you the exact formula, the precise measurements, the ideal spraying schedule, and the 3 critical mistakes that will reduce your garden to ashes if you make them. By the end of this video, you will possess a weapon that costs less than $2, works faster than any commercial pesticide on the shelf, and is entirely safe for your children, pets, and bees. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever gone out to inspect your garden and felt your heart sink because your rose bushes, tomatoes, or pepper plants were completely overrun? Every leaf and stem is crawling with bugs. You spent an entire afternoon last week dealing with this exact problem. You were thorough and careful, and yet they are back and worse than before, as if they multiplied overnight, because they did. You try soapy water, but it's only temporary. You pick them off by hand, but you miss the eggs every time. You buy a chemical spray and then spend the next 3 days wondering if your vegetables are still safe to eat. Here is the harsh truth. Most home remedies don't kill pests. They just annoy them. But there is an ingredient already in your kitchen that, when combined with exactly 2 other items in the right proportions, creates what I call a contact kill barrier. It kills on touch and keeps pests away for days. Let me show you exactly how it works. The answer to all of this is garlic powder. Not fresh garlic, not garlic oil, and not garlic salt. Just plain garlic powder, the kind you find in the spice aisle. The jar that costs about $3 and will last you an entire growing season of treatments. Before you think you've already tried garlic sprays and they didn't work, listen to this, because there is a very specific reason why most homemade garlic remedies fail. And it comes down to 3 things: the formula, the carrier liquid, and the timing of the application. If you get any of these wrong, it won't work as intended. If you get all 3 right, you will watch bugs die in seconds. The science behind this is worth understanding because it's what separates someone who tries this once and gives up from someone who never buys pesticides again. Garlic contains a sulfur compound called allicin. This is the same compound responsible for the strong, pungent smell of garlic when it is crushed or powdered. For soft-bodied insects like aphids, mealybugs, whiteflies, spider mites, and thrips, allicin is extremely toxic, even at low concentrations. As soon as it comes into contact with the soft outer cuticle of these insects, it penetrates the surface almost instantly, disrupting cellular function and triggering rapid dehydration. Death follows in seconds. This is not an exaggeration. It is a direct physical and chemical response. But the second function of allicin is what makes it a long-term solution rather than just a contact killer. When allicin coats the surface of your plant's leaves, it creates a residual chemical signal that works as a powerful repellent. Aphids and other soft-bodied insects navigate using compounds called semiochemicals. They make their way through a garden using their sense of smell, identifying suitable host plants by their chemical signature. Allicin completely disrupts these signals. A treated plant is no longer perceived as a host plant by incoming insects. Instead, it is perceived as a threat. New populations actively avoid it. Thus, the garlic spray doesn't just eliminate the pests already present. It builds an invisible barrier that prevents new populations from establishing themselves. Furthermore, the safety profile of this product is extraordinary. Allicin at the concentrations in this formula is completely non-toxic to vertebrates, meaning mammals, birds, and reptiles. Children can touch the treated leaves, and dogs and cats can move through treated areas without any harmful effects. Bees and butterflies are unaffected because pollinators do not possess the specific biological pathway that allicin disrupts in soft-bodied insects. The pollination of your garden continues exactly as it should. There is no ecosystem disruption, no chemical residue, and no worry about what you are eating from your vegetable beds. Now let's move on to the formula. These proportions are important, and you need exact measurements, not guesswork. The first ingredient is 1 liter of dechlorinated water. This is the step most people skip, and it is the main reason homemade garlic sprays underperform. Tap water contains chlorine, and chlorine actively breaks down a lysine on contact. Mixing garlic powder directly into fresh tap water means neutralizing a significant portion of your active compound before a single bug is even touched. To dechlorinate water, fill an open carafe or pitcher with tap water and let it sit uncovered on your counter, on a windowsill, or outside for at least 24 hours. Chlorine is a gas, so it naturally evaporates during this time, leaving behind clean, neutral water that preserves the full potency of your solution. The second ingredient is 1 teaspoon of garlic powder. Use a teaspoon, not a tablespoon. This is the effective concentration range, and going beyond it does not improve results. It only increases the risk of leaf sensitivity. Make sure it is pure garlic powder. Garlic salt contains sodium, which causes osmotic stress in plant tissues and can burn leaves at higher concentrations. Fresh garlic needs to be strained and does not distribute with the same consistency as powder. 1 level teaspoon of pure garlic powder per liter is the baseline. The third ingredient is 1 tablespoon of neutral dish soap. This is the surfactant, the ingredient that allows the formula to stick and spread. Water-based solutions tend to beat up on waxy or hairy leaf surfaces and roll off without doing much. Dish soap breaks the surface tension and allows your solution to spread evenly and adhere to every surface it contacts. This increases contact time with the insects and ensures the alicin residue stays on the leaf rather than washing away. Choose a clear or very lightly colored soap. Unscented works best. Avoid anything with heavy degreasers, antibacterial additives, or strong fragrances, as these formulations can be harsher on plant tissues than basic varieties. As for the mixing process, pour your dechlorinated water into a bowl, pitcher, or large measuring cup. Add 1 teaspoon of garlic powder and stir continuously for a full 2 to 3 minutes. This isn't a casual stir. You need complete dissolution with no clumps left behind, because dry garlic particles will clog the spray nozzle. Once completely dissolved, add the tablespoon of dish soap and stir gently for 1 additional minute. Stir gently because excessive agitation creates foam. Then pour everything into your spray bottle. One thing that surprises most people is that you should not strain this through a cloth or coffee filter. The solution will look cloudy or slightly rustic, and the instinct is to clarify it, but you must resist that instinct. The fine garlic particles suspended in the liquid actively contribute to the pest-killing efficiency. They carry the allicin directly into physical contact with the insects in a way that a purely liquid solution cannot replicate as effectively. Leave them in. The solution is now ready, but spraying it incorrectly will damage your plants just as effectively as any pest. There are 3 critical mistakes that turn this formula into a problem. The first mistake is spraying during direct midday sun. Taking the spray out at noon and coating your tomato plants with it will produce brown burn spots and crispy leaf edges by the very next morning. The issue is not the effect of garlic on plant tissues. At this concentration, garlic is harmless to plants. The problem is that the oils in the solution, combined with intense UV radiation, create a localized heating effect on the leaf surface that burns the tissues. The right window for spraying is early morning, between 6 a.m. and 8 a.m., when the sun is low and temperatures are cool, giving the solution time to dry before the heat builds up. The secondary window is late afternoon between 4 p.m. and 6 p.m. after the peak UV intensity has passed. Never spray between these hours during the hot months. The second mistake is spraying only the upper surfaces of the leaves. You see aphids clustered on the visible surface, so naturally that is where you spray. However, the majority of aphids and mealybugs on any given plant live and feed on the undersides of the leaves, in the crevices where stems meet branches, and along sheltered downward-facing areas. Spraying only the upper surface treats perhaps 20% of the actual infestation. The remaining 80% survive, reproduce, and recolonize within days. Every leaf must be physically tilted, every underside must be coated, and every stem crevice must be covered. It takes time, but the results completely justify it. The third mistake is the most common reason people give up on natural solutions, treating once and expecting the problem to be solved. Someone sprays, sees significantly fewer aphids the next morning, thinks the situation is handled, and does nothing more. A week later, the infestation is worse than before. What happened is that the first spray kills the adults and juveniles. But the eggs, which are protected under waxy coatings and embedded in plant tissues, are highly resistant to surface treatment. These eggs hatch in 3 to 5 days. The newly hatched generation faces no competition from adults, no predatory pressure from beneficial insects, and has an abundant food source, leading to explosive population growth. The correct application protocol consists of 3 sprays on a precise schedule. Day 1 eliminates the adults and juveniles currently present. Day 6 targets the newly hatched juveniles from the eggs that survived the first spray. By day 6, they have hatched but have not yet reached reproductive maturity, making this the most vulnerable window to catch them. Day 11 eliminates any remaining stragglers, destroys the last generation of hatchlings, and lays down a solid new layer of alicin residue that will function as a protective barrier moving forward. After the third application, protection holds for 2 to 3 weeks under normal conditions. Heavy rain or overhead irrigation washes away the residue and should trigger an earlier reapplication. Different plants in your garden require slight adjustments in concentration and frequency. Fruit trees, citrus, fig trees, peach trees, and plum trees respond well to the standard formula applied once every 7 days during an active infestation. Stop applications 3 days before harvest. Alicin does not penetrate fruit tissues, but the buffer period before harvest is a sensible practice. Leafy greens like lettuce, kale, spinach, Swiss chard, and arugula require a lighter application. Use half a teaspoon of garlic powder per liter rather than a full teaspoon. Leafy greens have thinner, more sensitive leaf surfaces and react more strongly to the oil content of sprays. Apply every 5 days and wash all produce thoroughly before eating, as with any garden-grown food. Roses and ornamental plants can handle a stronger concentration. 1.5 teaspoons per liter works well. Roses tend to face heavy aphid pressure throughout the season because they are a prized host plant. Spray every 5 to 7 days. The formula is completely safe for open flowers and developing flower buds. Large in-ground beds of tomatoes, peppers, squash, and cucumbers require larger batch volumes. Multiply the formula by 5 to produce a 5-liter batch, which provides adequate coverage for a standard garden bed. Use a pump sprayer or a hose-end sprayer for efficient coverage of large areas. Reapply every 7 days and after any significant rainfall. For severe infestations where you find hundreds of aphids, leaves curling inward, and stems covered in sticky honeydew residue, a different response is required. This honeydew, the excrement of aphids, leads directly to the growth of black sooty mold and additional stress for the plant. This is a crisis and it requires a crisis protocol. Start by blasting the entire plant with a strong stream of water from a garden hose. This physically removes 60 to 70% of the present insects immediately, which significantly reduces what the spray has to treat. Next, examine every branch. Any branch where more than half the leaves are heavily colonized must be completely cut off and removed from the garden area, either thrown far away from other plants or sealed in a bag for garbage collection. Cutting this branch removes thousands of eggs and insects in a single action, which is more effective than any spray application on a branch at this level of infestation. Immediately after cutting and hosing down, apply the garlic spray to all remaining surfaces, including the tops, undersides, stems, and the soil around the base of the plant. Repeat the full spray application the next day. Consecutive applications are appropriate for severe cases. Then physically move the plant away from neighboring plants and keep it isolated for 2 full weeks while completing the treatment. 4 to 5 applications spread over 2 weeks and applied consistently will resolve even severe infestations. The cost comparison makes the economics of this method almost comical. Commercial organic insecticidal soap costs $12 to $18 a bottle and covers a small garden for about 2 weeks. Chemical pesticide sprays cost $20 to $30 a bottle, with weekly application required. Concentrated neem oil costs about $15, works more slowly, requires additional emulsifiers to mix properly, and gives off a strong, unpleasant odor that many gardeners find hard to tolerate. A $3 jar of garlic powder makes over 24 individual 1-liter batches. Dish soap is likely already in the house, and water costs nothing. The total cost for an entire season of protection is about $6. That is a 50-fold cost reduction compared to commercial organic solutions, with equivalent or better results. Because unlike synthetic treatments, this method creates no chemical resistance over time. Beyond the spraying itself, 3 practices will make your entire garden more naturally resistant to pest pressure on a structural level. Plant companion herbs in all your garden beds. Mint, basil, cilantro, and lemongrass all produce volatile compounds that directly interfere with the chemical navigation of aphids and whiteflies. Positioned among or around vulnerable plants, they create a disorienting chemical environment that makes it harder for pests to locate suitable hosts. Mint should be grown in containers to prevent aggressive spreading, but even a few containers scattered throughout your garden make a measurable difference on overall pest pressure. Quarantine every new plant before it enters your garden. The majority of garden infestations do not come from wild pest populations, but from nursery plants that were already carrying eggs or early-stage insects when purchased. Keep every new plant in a completely separate area away from existing garden plants for at least a week. Check the undersides of the leaves every 2 to 3 days. A clean plant after 7 days can join the main garden. A plant showing signs of infestation is treated before it ever comes into contact with your other plants. Maintain true plant health. Stressed plants, whether underwatered, overwatered, nutrient deficient, or growing in poor light conditions, emit chemical stress signals that make them more attractive to pest insects. Aphids and mealybugs preferentially colonize stressed plants because physiological stress causes an increase in free amino acid concentrations in the plant's sap, making it a richer food source. A plant thriving in the right conditions is significantly less attractive to pests and more capable of recovering quickly from any infestation that does occur. Rotate your treatment methods every month. In weeks started 1 and 2, use the garlic spray according to the full 3 application schedule. In week 3, switch to a highly diluted neem oil application early in the morning. In week 4, do a clear water rinse followed by a thorough inspection. Then repeat the cycle. Rotation prevents any pest population from developing behavioral patterns around a single control method. Remember, 1 liter of dechlorinated water, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1 tablespoon of neutral dish soap. Stir the powder for 2 to 3 minutes, then gently stir in the soap. Do not strain. Spray both leaf surfaces and all stems early in the morning or late in the afternoon. Never at midday. Follow the day 1, day 6, and day 11 schedule every time without exception. A single ingredient, less than $2 a year, is safer than anything on store shelves. The science behind this method has been studied in entomological research for decades. It is not a trend. It is chemistry. If this simple kitchen secret changes how you view the spices in your cabinet and the pests in your garden, subscribe to our channel and like this video. We unearth the natural wisdom and historical solutions they tried to bury. Grow the future. The next treasure trove of knowledge will open soon. Happy gardening, and see you next time.